Welcome to BHP Custom. If you're someone who enjoys organizing their favorite projects into folders, then allow me to warn you. What you're about to see is worthy of being saved in the epic category. And if I'm suggesting it, that's because I haven't found any reason to think otherwise. This bike is impressive in every way, from the project's approach to the design, the way it was built, the engine power, and of course, its extreme beauty. Behold it in all its glory. Yes, this is indeed a Royal Enfield. I bet if you stumbled across these photos by chance, you would never guess it. Apart from the fuel tank and this lettering, there is nothing denoting this bike as a Continental GT. Not even the exhilarating engine sound. With eyes closed, we could have sworn it was a Ducati, right? This was the sound of the Cerra GT865. A truly extraordinary project created by Carl Cerra, founder of the Skunk Machine Design Studio located in Australia. Everything started when Urban Moto, the Australian Royal Enfield importer, challenged Carl to customize a Continental GT 650. And this was Carl's opportunity to try something very unusual. The Continental GT is surely integrated into the neo-classic motorcycle segment, which means it's a new and modern motorcycle apparently aged by its vintage style. But when Carl started the project, his vision was completely in the opposite direction. Instead of following the usual path of turning it into a more stripped-down bike, he decided to create something much more unique. His inspiration came from the racing bikes used in the 80s, but with a modern twist to make things even more interesting. Personally, I think his guidelines were not only very well achieved, but also exceeded. But I will explain this in a few minutes. As you already noticed, Carl is very talented with the art of clay modeling. This art is still extremely effective, allowing him to work and change the design continuously until the perfect form is reached. Carl's incredible skills and experience in industrial design allowed him to work with a wide range of car manufacturers. But when he finally got his motorcycle license at the age of 35, he became obsessed with motorcycle design. And it seems the obsession turned into a passion because all these beautiful and refined lines really show it. After the general design was completed, Carl called Kevin Warwick from Scan Express to make a 3D scan of the clay panels. And why does this work cover only one half of the bike? Because the other half can be easily created in the computer by simply mirroring the geometry data. After this stage, it was time to call Luke Kane from Caber to create the polyethylene master patterns from which the fiberglass molds will be taken. No, these parts are not made of fiberglass. The fiberglass molds were needed for the next stage, which is the creation of the carbon fiber panels. This specialized work was handed over to Jarek from Porsche Carbon. I must say, the result of these carbon fiber parts is quite beautiful. Although the fuel tank is still made of sheet metal, I must say that the paint color was very well chosen. Carl was very clever to include some solid paint details in the other sections. This not only creates a connection between the three elements, but also eliminates the too much factor. What I mean is, it would be exaggerated if all the panels had a carbon fiber finish. Speaking of exaggerated, there is one thing in this project in which we can use that word. The 650 engine is now fully loaded with steroids. It was upgraded to 865 cubic centimeters by Charlie Hallam from Hallam cycle works. But bigger pistons and valves require more fuel. And so, Revelry Cycles generously gave Carl one of their performance throttle bodies. All these upgrades changed the engine's personality dramatically. Extracting 76 horsepower from this air and oil-cooled engine is quite an achievement. There is another very interesting detail that no one had mentioned. This small cylinder on the rear end captured my curiosity. And after researching all the images very carefully, my suspicions were right. This is a rear-view camera. The LCD screen is discreetly located near the speedometer. This way, Carl avoided the inconvenient rear-view mirrors, which in this case would spoil the clean design of this awesome fairing. And this leads us to a very pertinent question. Is this a cafe racer or a sport bike? As you know, sport bikes are the descendants of the old cafe racer style. Therefore, I think we can label this epic project as something like a hybrid cafe. As I previously said, I believe Carl's project guidelines were positively exceeded. Because when I look at this astonishing project, I can't help but say, this is how new and modern sport bikes should look like today. When I look at these lines, I see personality, character, and vintage inspiration. I think Carl was very insightful in following this path. I never thought a Continental GT could be like this one. This surprising bike was so successful that there will be 24 more units. Thanks for tuning in to BHP Custom, and see you in the next video.